So we're going to kickstart this financial food saving series and give you some tips as to how to save money at the supermarket on food. Now, for me, the most basic and obvious thing to do is to have a shopping list. I don't go to the supermarket without a list of what I need to buy, because otherwise I just end up throwing things in that I don't really need, and also I end up forgetting half the things that I do need, so then I go back again and end up spending even more money. So I actually have a whiteboard, and you don't need a whiteboard, you can just have a pen and paper and a normal list, or an app in your phone. And during the week, as I run out of things, I add, whatever the item that is that I need to that list, so that I don't waste time wandering up and down the aisles, but trying to remember what I need, or just putting stuff in that I definitely don't need and end up doubling up on products. The second thing for me is to save money on food and groceries is having a food plan. So knowing that, tonight we're going to have, spaghetti bolognese, or, tomorrow night we're going to have salmon salad, like having a list of what we're going to sort of plan for the week. And sometimes where I can, I'll make extra so I can take it as a packed lunch to work. But for me, that's probably where my knowledge or tips stop. I don't know much further. So I'm actually going to hand you over to Leela, who's going to share her amazing ideas that I hadn't even thought of as to onto how she saves money on food, but doesn't actually jeopardize or forego quality food. Okay. So the first thing you sort of mentioned was, looking at the cuts of meats, and you gave the example with chicken. So can you explain what you recommend and what is the best value for money when it comes to buying meat?
Definitely. Well, I personally always buy chicken Maryland because they're a lot cheaper than the breast, for instance, or the chicken drumsticks. They tend to be the items that aren't as popular.
Why is it cheaper?
They're cheaper because they're not as popular, but they're also cheaper because there's less labour to detach that part from the chicken. So the breast has to be cut beautifully to size. I don't know if any of you ever tried to dissect a chicken. It's really hard to get the breast off and prepare it. So the chicken Maryland is just one quick chop. So that's very easy for a butcher to take off the chicken. So things like that. Also things that are left on the bone. So, for instance, like a fillet steak is way more expensive than, say, the rump steak. Also, different parts of the animal are more expensive or cheaper. So we want to buy those cuts that are cheaper, and you'll understand a little bit more in one of our later videos when we talk about cooking them, why they're actually better, because we can cook cheaper meals with them that are more nutritionally dense as well. Okay,
so when you're buying meat, try and buy it as close to the bone as possible, because that's where the best savings for money and possibly more nutritious,
and also we're going to talk about using the bones in cooking as well.
So we've got cooking ideas for you as well. So, but just keep that in mind when you're at the supermarket in the meat aisle, looking at sort of feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the cost of meat. Try and look for meats that are close to the bone. The next idea you talked about was buying in bulk and what foods you can freeze.
Yes. Buying bulk is a really good idea because a lot of butchers will have a special on. For instance, you can get 2 kilos for 1.5 kilo price.
Okay.
So then in that case, I always go in and I think, well, great, I'm going to buy 4 kilos. And what I would do is put them into 500 gram bags, for instance, because I live on my own, so I don't need to cook too much. And then I'll freeze them all.
Okay.
And then I know on my list to cross off mincemeat for the next 4 weeks or something.
Okay, great. You also talked about getting to know your supermarket, knowing what days of the week new stock arrives and products arrive, and that they, what days they tend to put things on sale. I thought that, you sort of noticed that every day, one particular day per week, that the guy was marking down lots of food, and you realised it was, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, especially for your independent or local organic stores or just independent grocers. They will have a day where they get all of their chicken delivered, for instance, and there will be a whole lot of stock on the shelves that they need to move so they can put the new stock on. So that will all get marked down to move quickly. It's what's really important to note is just because a product is marked down doesn't mean it's going to go off. They just need to move it. So
it doesn't mean it's bad or rotting or moldy or anything like that.
Also, use by dates are very, very, very safe. There's actually a lot more life left in meat. So normally if I buy something in quick sale like that, I'll freeze it anyway. So I'm not worried about it.
So it's in a time capsule when it's frozen.
Exactly. So, but those items are always so much cheaper because they need to get rid of it. That's why it's cheap.
Okay. On that subject of buying foods that can be frozen, what foods can be frozen? Obviously meat can be frozen. are there any particular fruits that can be frozen so that they last longer? Like, what sort of foods can be frozen?
Meat's definitely the easiest. Frozen berries. Berries work really. A lot of fruit works really well frozen. So, for instance, like if mangoes are on sale, I buy the mangoes and I'll cut them all up and then I'll freeze them in little freezer bags.
I never even knew that. Yeah, that's great. I would love that.
Everything that's on sale. Basically, I go, right, strawberries on sale, cut them up because they go really well in smoothies when we talk about breakfast on the run later. Also, buying bulk. Some vegetables, or like berries, for instance, if you buy bulk bags of frozen berries, like I buy these massive bags and they're so much cheaper than buying little individual bags. And as you know, like if people especially are interested in eating organically, berries are so expensive. So
incredible. I bought raspberries the other day and I was like, whoa.
And again, that's so when they're not in season all the time, they're much cheaper to buy when they're frozen.
And you said also recommended buying in season, so understanding like you know, at the moment in Sydney there is an avocado drought. Avocados are exceptionally expensive, which is annoying because I love avocados.
God, me too.
But you know, understanding like, you know, what's in season at the moment, like what type of apples are popular right now, or you know, readily available, because obviously the price comes down. And then the other thing you mentioned, which I hadn't ever thought of, is imperfections.
This is quite funny because we have this thing about everything looking beautiful, and there are people that are actually, their job is to sort all the apples and make sure all the beautiful apples go into the stalls. Whereas a lot of independent grocers will put the ugly apples to one side and will sell them quite cheaply. So for instance, there'll be a box of juicing carrots. There's nothing wrong with those carrots. Sometimes they're just broken or scraped.
And once you cut them up, I mean, as you said, they taste the same. Once you cut them up, you wouldn't even know. And especially if you're going to be using them in cooking, they've got to be chopped up anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So they're something really worthwhile. There's nothing wrong with them, and they are nutritionally just as good as the other.
Okay. And then obviously, I think the final tip that we both agree on is, you know, shopping loyally, having like a rewards, you know, shopping with a supermarket that has a rewards program that, you know, saves you money and gives you discounts and gives you bonuses and rewards and bigger discounts further down the track is definitely worthwhile. Like, you know, shopping with one particular, you know, supermarket shop or I guess brand over time can actually add up to be quite valuable. And some of them even provide additional bonuses and discounts to other stores outside of their network, which is also, you know, can add up to be quite a lot of money over time.
And I think there goes a lot actually to be, if you shop somewhere all the time, I've become really good friends with the people that own the establishments that I shop with. I have no idea how much stuff they just give me.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, all the time.
That's amazing.
I know. So because I shop in bulk as well, or when their stuff's on special, and I'm such a good customer and I come back and I bring other customers, they're always like giving me things.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Which is really, just knowing everyone's name at the butcher, for instance, like all the staff, and when I walk in saying hi to everyone, they're always going, oh, we'll give Leela some free bones for her dog. Or,
oh, that's not that's nice.
Leela
has a chocolate Labrador as well. Okay, so look, that's it for this video. That's just some tips on how to save money at the supermarket. As I said, we've got a string of these series coming out for you, so we hope you enjoy that. But that should just help you out in the meantime. We'll see you in the next series shortly. Ciao.
Ciao.